Hello, everybody. It's Chastity White Rose again. And today is April 1st, 2021. And I wanted to do another live stream. I haven't done any for a few days. I've been actually depressed the past few days, actually, really bad, because I'm grieving the loss of my job because I'm not making quota. I'm doing the best I can, but I predict I will end up losing my current job. So I'm sad about that. However, I will soon be starting work at Hy-Vee. I have orientation on the 13th is scheduled currently. That's the plan. I'm very excited to go back to working for Hy-Vee because I got respect from customers and other employees alike back at the other Hy-Vee I worked at. And so here's the truth is that I won't make as much money, and it's going to be hard to manage this new life, trying to work part-time at Hy-Vee and possibly donate plasma, find ways to make other income, maybe selling books, whatever, so I can still live my independent life as a single adult, renting my own apartment. So life is a struggle. A lot of changes are happening right now. And so it's a lot is going on right now in my life. But I wanted to talk about something. I wanted to talk about freedom of speech. And I was thinking about freedom of speech. And I think people define freedom of speech in different ways. And I feel like everybody places a limitation on freedom of speech, okay? And here's how I think about it. Now, freedom of speech, the way I think is that I believe people should have the right to say things without being punished. And here's the thing about it, and there's some people who would disagree. And where I fall on the spectrum of freedom of speech is very interesting because I feel like we all have to draw the line somewhere about what is or isn't allowed. For example, I'm very open and public about my own life. I always have been, and I can't keep a secret about my own life to no matter what, unfortunately. So that's probably going to destroy me one day. But when it comes to other people in my life, whether that's friends or family or whatever, I don't want to share details of other people's lives that they do not want known. So I feel like I should have the right, morally, whether legally I have a right to freedom of speech or not is a whole other matter. But I should have the right to express my own opinions, my own beliefs, and that sort of thing. But I cannot speak on behalf of other people. You know what I'm saying? Now, my policy, I don't always live up to my own standards and my own policies and stuff. But my standard is that I don't talk about what other people have said unless I'm commenting on something that they have said publicly. So if somebody in a video or a podcast or on their blog or articles or whatever has said something publicly on the internet, then of course I may respond to what they publicly have said, that sort of thing. Now there may be times when I don't live up to my own standard, but that's the standard that I try to manage, okay? So here's the thing about it. Now, over the past years, I would say from the time I was 21 up until now, and I'm 33, and this May 15, I'll be turning 34, so I'm really old. So now, my life started out, being raised by my single mother, and going to church, and it was a weird life. I was homeschooled, so I had a very interesting background. But when I became an adult, I started having to figure things out for myself. You know what I mean? And many things changed. Many things changed in my life. the things that I believe changed, and the way I live my life changed. I no longer call myself a Christian anymore, and now I'm vegan. I didn't grow up vegan, but after I understood what veganism was, I turned vegan when I was 26 years old in 2013 approximately, and been vegan ever since. And I still am. That will always be true because I don't like hurting animals. Duh, So, but one thing that I've been feeling is that my life has become so centered on issues. My writing, in my books, on my blog, and the content of my videos, a lot of it deals with, issues of religion or philosophy or occasionally politics. Even though I don't consider myself a political person, people seem to define things being political even when they're not. And I just want to set the record straight really quickly that people know that I'm pro-life about abortion, but that was never a political statement. Some people say that that speaking about abortion is political. I don't see it that way. I feel like being political is telling people you need to vote for this candidate, or you need to vote for this thing, or you need to be a Democrat or Republican. I feel like being political is telling people what they have to do about political matters, and being religious, I feel like it is when they're bossing people, saying, oh, you have to believe in God, or I'm going to either kill you or you're going to go to hell, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's a certain attitude, a certain mindset of certain people that I don't like, and I don't want to be that way myself. So I try not to be that way. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, back to freedom of speech. I feel like we live in a time of increasing censorship and infringements on people's right to freedom of speech. Now, the freedom of speech topic is a very strange one, because there are going to be people who say, oh, well, you should be able to be free to say anything, but you can't say something that's false. You can't promote lies, or you can't promote hate speech or stuff like that. And here's the thing about it. Here's why I feel like freedom of speech is important. I feel like people need to be able to say things, even hateful things and hurtful things, or no progress gets made. For example, if somebody's racist or they hate gay people, I don't want their account. For example, if somebody says something racist, for example, on TV or radio, or on social media, like, I feel like they should be corrected. It should be explained to them that someone's not lesser than them because they're of a different skin color or whatever. Yeah, I feel like racist and otherwise hateful people should be corrected. But here's the problem: is that when you censor people, you may delete their social media accounts. You might take their TV episodes off the air, or you might delete their YouTube channel. You know what I'm saying? You might delete people's content that was hateful, and it might be wrong. But after you do that, those hateful people still go on to live their lives. And that hatred that they experience, which was never challenged, they were simply deleted and kept from saying it. They still hold those beliefs. And so, for example, I do not think that the Christian Bible should be banned. Some people would say that the Bible should be banned. But the problem is that banning the Bible means that people don't know what's wrong with it. And I feel like, yes, Pafo, yes, I see your comment, Pafo. It doesn't make the problem go away. That's my exact point, Pafo. You don't make a problem go away just because you stop the use of a word from being said, and I feel like that's the problem we're dealing with, is that the discussion needs to be had, okay? And unfortunately, that's not the case. Vegan, for example, first of all, You know that I'm on the side of vegan activists. And you know I'm on the side of pro-life activists, for example, about the abortion topic as well. There's many social issues that I am on a certain side with. I won't hide that. But there have been pro-life people who have been, their accounts have been deleted on Facebook and on off of YouTube and that sort of thing. And there's been vegan activists who have had their content deleted. I've even had videos deleted on my channel, and my co-host Monique, I'll speak about Monique because she's my co-host, had her whole YouTube channel deleted. So it's just getting crazy. Yes, Pafo. Nothing should be banned, but everything should be analyzed and critiqued. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. See, Pafo agrees with me. See, that's the thing. Yeah. That's just it, is that I feel like there should, of course, there can be limitations. Like, for example, if people are grouping together and trying to help people commit violence, for example, like let's say that they're like this, people should be able to talk about any issue. People should be able to talk about any topic. Yes. Nothing should be off limits to talk about, or we end up in a fascist society. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Pafo is basically summing up what I am trying to say. Thanks for your help, Pafo. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that people should be allowed to promote actual discussion of acts of violence, like, oh, well, there's this woman on this street. Let's all go and gang rape her. Like, I don't think that kind of content should be allowed on any platform, obviously, because that means that it's directly threatening a person's safety, because people are, trying. But the thing is, people still will do that, even if they don't do it over the phone or on the internet. There's still going to be people who do things privately, obviously. But I think that there are very, very few behaviors that I don't think should be allowed to be said. You know what I mean? I think we need to talk about these issues. And here's the thing, is certain topics are of a controversial nature for a reason, because they're important. The more important a topic is, the more controversial it is, and if there was only one side to a story, there's no controversy. And so, like, for example, the topic of abortion, about whether abortion is right or wrong, or whether it should be legal or illegal, or people could talk about whether marijuana should be legal or illegal, whatever the topic is, alcohol, cigarettes, about what should be legal or illegal, yes, harmful behavior toward humans or animals should be limited and discouraged. Yes, exactly what I just said, basically. Yeah. And see, here's the thing, the discussion needs to be had. And here's what we have, is we have an unfair, an unbalanced situation. Because, first of all, everyone is forced to pay taxes by the government, okay? And we don't get to choose in any way what happens with that money. And if you didn't already know this, the meat and dairy and egg industries are subsidized by the government. So vegans like me, who are completely against, killing animals and hurting animals, are forced indirectly through taxation to pay people to murder animals. I am being forced to pay people to kill animals when that's what I'm against. And it's crazy. Yeah, let's see. But this also allows racists and hate groups to congregate and consolidate power. So where do you draw the line? Yes, these are difficult questions. See, these are all difficult questions, because here's the thing, is the free speech topic itself is such a difficult one. But here's the thing, is now, let's go back to before my time. I don't remember, but I do understand there was supposedly a time before 1987 when I was born. So there was a time when there was no telephones. There was a time when there was no internet. There was even a time before the printing press, if you go back far enough, and where all writing was done by hand. There was no machines to mass produce things. And people spoke to each other. People just spoke to each other face to face in person. And that was how most information got passed on, unless somebody took the time to write something down with a pen or pencil. You know what I'm saying? But now information flows faster than it used to in those old days. We live in modern times where somebody can share something on the internet and it's read by millions of people. So what we say now has more influence. And this past year, this whole COVID-19 pandemic, which I have many thoughts on, I'm not actually allowed to tell you what I think of the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm not allowed to tell you because anything that I say will probably go against YouTube's community guidelines. And I want this video to stay on YouTube. I don't want it deleted, but I'm just letting you know I'm not allowed to tell you how I really feel. So people who want to know how I really feel will probably just have to talk to me privately on video chat or over the phone or through email, whatever, and I can, But yeah, I do see your comments, Pafo, here. Let's see. I hate the fact that we are forced to pay taxes. The federal income tax was never even legally voted into law. That's right. That's what I read. Yeah. I'll shut up and let you talk now. Yeah. But yeah, the tax thing, see, veganism is about simply not buying it in any product, not buying or using any product that is basically paying for people to hurt these animals. That's what veganism is to me. That's how I understand it, my simplified definition. So by not buying animal products and by buying only plants and not buying clothing made of animal parts and stuff like leather and wool and stuff like that, I'm not paying people with my chosen dollars of how I spend my money to pay those people to do things to animals. But like I mentioned before, through taxation, I'm forced to support that, and I don't like that. And so here's the issue is that we live in a society, and it's complicated. It's very complicated because we live in a society where people debate over issues and things go back and forth. Laws change over time about what's legal or illegal. People's opinions change over what's moral or immoral, and anything's subject to change because people change. But it's not even so much that people change, it's that people die and new people are born. I feel like change happens more through the inclusion of new people coming to the planet and the old ones dying out than people changing individually. So, it's like natural selection, except it's more societal selection, because natural selection kind of ended for humanity. As soon as human societies grouped together, everything changed because all of a sudden your survival didn't depend on your physical strength or your hunting or farming ability or how resistant you were to the cold with your hairy body. You know what I mean? Like natural selection ended because now all of a sudden you're more likely to survive if you happen to be born into a family that's positive and healthy, and if you happen to get a good education. Also, it helps if you are white skinned, for example. If you're light skinned and if you're male, you have a certain privilege. Like, I'm not denying that privilege exists for certain types of people. It shouldn't be that way because we should all be equal. But I know the reality is we're not treated as equals, and I understand that. But okay, this is just a side note, but I started reading this book. I forgot what it was, but it was this book. We have a comment, Pafo. But we do have a way out. Believe it or not, it's the First Amendment, freedom of religion. I'll tell you more if you want to know. Oh yeah, tell me more. I don't mind. Yeah, this is what it's all about, Pafo. But yeah, see, here's the thing: is I read this, was reading this book, and it was all this stuff about white veganism and about it was supposed to be LGBTQ plus vegans and and inconsistent. I don't remember the exact title of it. I have it in my room, but I don't care to go get it right now. But all this stuff about white privilege and white veganism and how veganism is promoted by white people, I got really fed up with it. And basically that, that all whites are racist. Like, there was some awful stuff being said that I didn't like. I'm like, what the hell? Like, look, I do not like that everything is considered, like, I don't like the idea that my very existence is just considered hateful. There are hating people because they happen to be white. It's just as bad as hating them for being black. Hating someone because they're male is just as bad as hating them because they're female, or hating somebody because they're cisgender rather than transgender. Like, we live in a mad world. Like, everybody is all about identity and labels, and everyone's like, oh, well, these people are bad, and it's crazy. So the world's gone mad, and I haven't known how to handle it. Like, I don't know how to handle humanity right now, because people were already difficult to deal with. And then this whole COVID-19 pandemic, and then all of a sudden everybody is all told to social distance and stay 6 feet apart from everybody and all this stuff. And so the result of that is that people can no longer congregate and people can no longer talk to each other in person. And so all of our interaction is happening through the internet. And then the powers that be decide to censor people on the internet from being able to say certain things. So it's crazy, but you're not going to believe me. That book sounds terrible. Like an SJW's wet dream. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I thought it was going to be a good book. Now, some of the stories in it might be positive, because it was written by many different authors, each sharing their own perspective. There's a lot of gay and trans people who have written stories in that book who are also vegan. So some may be good, but there are some people in there who just sound like they hate white people. Like, it's just messed up. So I'm disappointed. Yeah. Let's see. When you operate a nonprofit religion, you maintain the tax-free status. You're also guarantees certain rights and freedoms, as in the case of biopantheism. Interesting. Yeah, I like that idea. Yeah, very strange. And religion is an interesting one. Now, if you guys didn't know, my friend Pafa, who's commenting there, basically invented a religion, biopantheism, and he has a lot of content explaining this religion and why it's so awesome. So check out his stuff, definitely. But yeah, religion is a weird one. Religion is a very strange one, because there's a very anti-religion mindset happening in American culture today. And it's no surprise why, because there have been harms, of course, by people who call themselves Christians, and they have been very hateful historically to gay and transgender people and people who don't agree with their religion are outcasts, and then people are reacting to that. But what I have noticed is that when you believe a certain thing, when you believe in a certain cause about it, and you promote something, you talk about something a lot, some people will accuse you of being religious. People will say you're being like a religious person, and people accuse vegans of being like Christians sometimes, because there is a mindset that's similar. And here's why: because vegans are trying to save the lives of animals. We're trying to save their lives. Meanwhile, Christians believe that they are saving people's souls from going to hell by trying to get people to believe their religion or whatever, So the mindset of trying to save people is similar, but still there's a difference. There's still many differences between the two. But there are times when vegans get accused of being preachy and sounding like a religious fundamentalist. So it's weird, and yet there's still a world of difference between religions like Christianity and veganism. But that's a whole other topic in and of itself. Let's see here. The illusion of distinction separates and divides people. It pits everyone against everyone over the stupidest and most superficial differences. Agreed, Pafo. And I feel like what's happening is people are being divided more and more. People are just being divided. People are all being put against each other. Like somebody's different from you. They're of a different religion or a different skin color or different gender or whatever. Like then all of a sudden the people are just arguing about all this weird stuff. People are arguing about, whether transgender people should be able to play sports with cisgender people and all these weird sorts of things. And I'm not concerned with that right now. I feel like the most important, wait, what was that? Okay. Yeah. Well, anyway, so here's the thing. People, they're focused on all these little issues, but I feel like the biggest issues about the right to, the right to life, the right to free speech, and there are some very important discussions that need to be had, but there is a certain there's a certain question that's been on my mind. It's just been something I've been thinking about. I've been thinking about how I'm probably going to get banned for saying this, but this is exactly how I feel. Okay, so so with all this stuff about this COVID stuff and people social distancing and then mask mandates, and now everyone's being encouraged to get the COVID vaccines, And here's the thing is there are those who want to mandate the COVID vaccine, make that everybody has to get injected with the COVID vaccine. And this has been on my mind a lot lately because your opinion on whether vaccination is good or bad, whether vaccination saves lives or whether it kills people, we all have our opinions on that. But here's what it comes down to is, does a person have a right to their own body? And I've been thinking about this. I've been thinking about this hard. This is kind of my internal struggle, but I've been thinking about this a lot. And I've been thinking, well, on the one hand, we have a society that, for example, when it comes to abortion is mostly pro-choice. And they say that a woman has the right to her own body. And that includes even, aborting the unborn child, whether you call it embryo, fetus, whatever you call it, that a person has a right to their own body, that they cannot be forced to support the life of another if they don't want to. On the other hand, even people who would agree with that and are absolutely pro-choice, even if that includes aborting a fetus, then some of those same people will say, well, everybody must be mandated to have a vaccine. Like seriously, my phone's going off, but I don't care right now. But the thing is, then when it comes to that vaccine, they're like, oh, well, everybody has to have a vaccine because it's about the public health. And if they don't get the vaccine, then they're gonna get COVID and spread it to other people, And I'm like, but does that person have a right to their own body to the point that they should be able to choose what enters their own body or not? If you're right, yep. I want you to start a podcast called Here's the Deal. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I want to hear more about this podcast idea. Yeah, we'll talk more about that, Pafo. Yeah, here's the deal. But anyway, as I was saying, it comes down to a simple yes or no question. If you believe a person has a right to their own body and they get to choose what food they eat or drink, and what they have injected into them, what clothes they are, whatever they do, what sexual things they do, and with who, when. If you believe a person has an absolute right to bodily autonomy, if you answer yes to that, then of course you would think abortion should be illegal, but you also must allow people to not have a COVID vaccine if they don't want it. So this comes down to your right to your own body, your right to decide for your own life what you do. And there is a big difference between what you do with your own body and your own life choices and what you can force on others. So this is an important topic. It's an important topic, and I probably need to keep this short, but this has been on my mind recently because my phone is going off. It's driving me nuts. I have to go. Yeah, just my phone. My friend Larry is letting me know he's going to pick me up for work. So that's the thing about it is these issues have been on my mind recently, and these are big topics, and some topics are controversial for a reason, and people will not all come to 100% agreement. The whole billions of people are not all going to agree on any one thing, nor should they, because if everybody suddenly agrees, that's awfully suspicious. It sounds like people are only saying a certain thing because they will be jailed or killed if they say the opposite. So that sounds like government control. That sounds like a totalitarian type of society where you're not allowed to have an opinion. And right now, that's, in my opinion, is that, people need to be allowed to decide what they do with their own body, and they need to be able to say how they really think and feel. And of course, there's nuances and there's details and complications with everything in society, but the discussion needs to be had. And I feel like that's why I do podcasts, because I've done podcasts with people throughout the years. Some of them have been deleted by YouTube, who doesn't like people talking about things and stuff. And I will find other platforms. Like I will find other platforms to share podcasts and videos and that sort of thing, because at least, at least that's something I can do while I have freedom of speech to some extent, as I can use the power of the internet. I have the tools. Let's see. No, I want you to start a podcast and title it that. It's your catchphrase and it fits. Interesting. So you, let's see. Why does your phone sound like a baby crying? You can hear my phone. Yeah, I have my ringtone set, so every time I get a text message, it does that song. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm crazy. It always does that. So I always hear it, but it's annoying when I'm trying to do a video. It's just, I like it stupid like that. But I can't have my phone off because I need to be getting some messages. But anyway, so you want me to start a podcast and title it that. Okay, so yeah. So let me look at that title again. So here's the deal. I want you to start a podcast called Here's the Deal. Interesting. Here's the deal. I like that. Huh. Yeah, that's not such a bad idea. Although it's always possible to come up with a better title if there's something that fits even better. But I like Here's the Deal. I like that. And I'm just saying that while I have this amazing computer and I have the internet right now, I don't know what's going to happen in my life, job wise, financially wise. I don't know what's going to happen, but I like that I have the tech knowledge, and I've done podcasts before. I like the idea of having more discussions. So I want to have more discussions with people, and we can talk about controversial issues, that we can talk about, religion and politics and philosophy, just as I've done before with people. And I feel like it's been good for me. It's been good for me to be able to talk with people from various locations around the world with various differing beliefs than mine. It strengthens me to find people who are different and talk with them. And the truth be told, it's my only real social interaction. My only social interaction that I have with people is either talking to my mom or doing podcasts with some of the people I do shows with. And so I hope to do more of that. And I will probably meet more exciting new people that I've never had a chance to talk to in the future. So we'll see what happens. I've been kind of sad lately about the state of our world and the way things have been. But, I'm trying to cheer up, and I'm trying to realize that, I have a lot of things to say, and I can help give people a platform to say their things. And I'll have to work around the system because I have a feeling that my YouTube days are numbered anyway, because they don't like people having a different opinion than mainstream media and the government. And I do have a different opinion. I have my own opinion because I am myself and I'm not anyone else. So that's just it. As I don't have friends that I can hang out with locally. All I have is my co-hosts of podcasts and my mother, basically. And even though I try to make friends with people at work, it doesn't really work out all that well. And then when you leave a job, then people just forget about you. Friendships that are based on going to the same church, school, or working the same job are very shallow and very rarely does it last beyond that. But there are a few people in my life that are still important to me and that I talk to regularly online. And there may be even more in the future. And if it wasn't for the fact that I am so open and public about my own life and my own struggles, perhaps I wouldn't have met all the people I did. So I'm very glad. Whatever I've done, I'm very glad that I have met certain people. So, yeah, I care more about quality friendships than quantity anyway. So I guess that's really all I have to say now. I need to make sure that I'm ready for work today. But it's been very nice just to get some of my thoughts out. I feel better just to get my thoughts. I have these thoughts in my head all day while I'm at work, and I can't say anything because I'm at work, So that's just what I think right now. Yeah, well, and also, Pafo, thanks for commenting. Pafo is probably my number one commenter because every time I do a live stream, practically, he gets notification, and then he watches me live and comments. So that's cool. So yeah, we'll talk more, because maybe I can start a podcast called "Here's the Deal." And hey, people! Anybody who watches this live stream is listening to what I said. What do you think? Should I start a new podcast? Should I call it "Here's the Deal," or do you have something else? Or he said another one. Or figure it out, because that's what I always say, and that's what I'm always doing. Yeah, we call it just saying because that's my catchphrase. Yeah, there's a lot of comments here. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So if you seriously, should I start a new podcast? Should I have a podcast centered around new topics and freedom of speech and figuring out controversial topics? Because I've tried it before, like the philosophy, science, religion podcast. I could always get back into that as well. But I like to try new things. So if anybody wants to be part of a new podcast, just leave some comments, And here's the thing is, a lot of people are not like me. A lot of people are not like me because they prefer to remain anonymous and live private lives. There are not very many people who will have their voice or their video feed, you know, online publicly for the world to see because they're self-conscious and they're worried something they say will be used against them, which it might. Let's see. Oh, don't worry. You want to get banned. Just be smart. Hey, don't get emo. We're all isolated in our own way. Read my latest post. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. So we'll see where life takes us. Who knows? But yeah, I guess I don't know what else to say, but I feel better getting my thoughts out. And I guess you'll see me and whatever co-hosts I have in future live streams. So thanks for listening. If you put up with any of that. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. Yeah. Yeah. Love you, Chastity. Don't get discouraged. Well, thanks, Pafo. Yeah. Sometimes I get discouraged, but you know what? I ain't giving up yet. There's plenty of time for that after I'm dead. So yeah. And that's right. That's right. What I was going to say. Oh yeah. I was going to say, it says a lot about someone when they are willing to make themselves publicly known. You know, when somebody is willing to come on with me and do podcasts about these topics, or even to comment, you know, that means a lot. Because that means you believe in what you have to say strongly enough that you're willing to go on the record for saying it. So whatever happens, I will not be silenced. I will not worry about, okay, well, I think this, but can I say that? Oh, I'll get banned if I say that. Oh, people won't like that if I say that. You know, I can't do that. Like, my head does not work that way. So I say what I think. What I am thinking is exactly what I say. What you see is what you get. What you hear is what I think. That's how my brain works, and I have no filter. It's both a blessing and a curse, which you know if you've listened to some of my other videos. But I'm gonna shut up before I lose my mind any further. But thanks for listening. It means a lot that somebody listens to what I have to say.